Welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked, where passion meets possibility. Here's your host, Meredith Calloway.
Hello, and welcome to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast. I am your host, Meredith Calloway. I am with Gifted Travel Network. And in today's episode, our guest is Julia Matheson of Travel Julia's Way. And Julia is a longtime loyal member of the Gifted Travel Network. And she's been incredibly loyal to us. And I am excited to interview her today because I feel like she has a story that is very relatable. And I think people could learn a lot from her journey. So welcome to the show today, Julia. Thanks for joining.
Thank you so much for having me.
So Julia is, she lives in the same state as the, headquarters of the travel industry, Mooresville, North Carolina. She's up the road about 45 minutes away in Hickory. And so that's convenient for Julia because when we have events in the office or just local events, she gets to attend. But let's go ahead and one of the reasons why I think your story is so relatable is because of your journey before you got into the travel business. So let's start with that. Tell us a little bit about your corporate career before you started your travel business.
Sure. I've sort of been a little bit of a journeyman and bounced around to lots of different things. Because when I remember when I was like in high school or, junior high or whatever, and taking career aptitudes, my mom always said, and people always said, you could be a travel agent. I was like, ew, no. Why would I do that? That's lame. Anyway, but that's exactly what I'm supposed to do. But so after college, I did a year skiing, out in Colorado. And then I ended up in DC, and I speak languages and have always had an affinity and grew up traveling. And so always had an affinity. So I ended up in an international, it was basically an internet startup back. That's how old I am, back in the day. And, it was a multinational corporations trying to better collaborate in the supply chain. So I learned supply chain consulting, but the best thing about that business is because it was a startup, it was a bunch of, young go-getters. And because it was very international, I ended up in the sales department and had these wonderful bosses who were all international and just incredible businessmen. And they were all mostly men. And they all taught me that, if you follow your passion, the success will come. And so quite clearly I knew that, supply chain consulting was not going to be my passion.
That wasn't your passion? I mean, Come on.
Sorry. It's very interesting. I like the consumer packaged goods industry, but no. So I went off to business school to pursue my dreams of, being a marketing executive for Expedia or, something like that. But obviously life gets in the way. And I ended up in the furniture industry, which is the family business kind of in this part of North Carolina. And I did that for a while, but then I got laid off in 2008 with the crash like everyone else does. And so I followed my dreams out to California and randomly searched for French and travel and got like my dream job, so to speak, or what seemed like. And it was a French company that organized travel for European travel agencies coming to the US. And so I took a massive pay cut, jumped in, learned the industry, and ended up after a few months running their independent travel department. And did that so that means travel for families, basically. Mm-hmm. And so I handled all the contracting with hotels. I can tell you all the hotels around Bryce National Park, Death Valley, all the national parks that the French or Europeans, mostly French clients like to come visit. And after several years of doing that, and it was very much a volume-based business, discount travel, I realized that I was tired of that, but I loved travel. But my passion lay in sending Americans out into the world.
And kind of the reverse. Like you wanted to send Americans to France, not French people to America.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and plus, and San Francisco being an entrepreneurial place, I was like, well, I can start my own business. That's easy. I went to business school. And after a few months of going, I don't know what I'm doing. I went to a conference and met you. And the rest is history.
The
So
rest is history.
yeah.
Yeah. You joined, actually, we met, I think we had started GTN by then, but
Just barely.
it was more gift that you joined the Global Institute for Travel Entrepreneurs, and you joined our TESA program and then our Diamond Mastermind program. Yeah. And yes, I remember those days of redoing your messaging.
Yes.
Now that's an interesting transition.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the things that I've really been on a soapbox about lately is this whole concept of there are the 4 phases to the travel business journey. And ultimately, phase 4 is the phase where you truly professionalize that passion for travel, because this is where you're selling more than $1 million a year. This is where you should be generating more than $100,000 in revenues. So you're actually making a profit, enough, you're making enough income to hopefully support yourself or at least contribute to a household income relatively significantly. Now, do you have to make it to phase 4? No, that's an option. It's optional, but if you don't make it to phase 4, it's not truly a career. It's more of a side hustle, or, if you only make it to phase 2, it's a hobby. And I have been saying for years and years and years that, 70 to 80% of the travel advisors at least in the United States, don't make it past phase 2, which is where your sales are between 200,000 and 600,000, and your revenues are up to 65,000.
Yeah.
And ironically, the Host Agency Reviews has that Hosted Advisor report.
Yeah.
And their 2024 report, which actually is based on 2023 numbers, validates my thing that I've been saying for years, because the average sales in 2023 was 517,000, and the average income, which I say is revenue, because their income does not include business expenses, or does not factor in business expenses. The average income that they report was 52,000, which both of those numbers, if you put it in my little phase to the business. So one major reason why people don't make it past that phase 2 and never get to phase 4 is because they fail to focus on at least one of 3 fundamental things. The first is just knowing your numbers and really understanding how to monetize the business. And at Gifted Travel Network, the easiest way and the most available way is to lean into luxury and sell luxury and increase your transaction sizes. The second fundamental, which is the whole point of where I'm getting to,
I'm like,
is effective sales funnel. And building an effective sales funnel starts with a message. And that was one of the very first things we worked with you on, was your messaging. And so do you want to tell a little bit of the story of that and how you came up with Travel Julia's Way?
Sure. So it was not my original brand. I started with Matheson Travel. I had a really cute logo that I loved. It had the little Eiffel Tower connecting the A and the T, and it was clean, and it was black and white, and I thought that was luxury, and it showed my passion for France and all that stuff. But I was frozen with what you're supposed to do. Like, what am I I had gone from travel blogging because before I started my job, I went traveling for 6 or 8 months solo. And so I'd been blogging and writing just constantly. And then the second I started my business, I froze, and I was like, I don't know what I'm supposed to say. Like, I don't want to say I'm a France specialist, because then that cuts off any other trip. And, even though I have an Eiffel Tower in my stupid logo. You know, and I and I just, you know, was trying to be all things to all people and not leaning into my passion and leaning into the things about me that make me good at this job, right? And so we were in a coaching session and we were talking about, oh, I'm a like virtual travel guide. Like I just know the restaurant around the corner that you're supposed to go to. And I just have all this crap in my head that's useful and valuable to people that are traveling. And I'm very opinionated about.
You're like a travel critic.
Yes, I'm like a travel critic, and I'm very opinionated about what makes a good trip and like the rhythm of a trip. And I'm a total itinerary snob, and I will read through. You should see the tabs open that I'm comparing different tour operators and what they do and where they go. And if it's not good enough, then I won't recommend it. And someone in the room, I think it was Vanessa, was like, "You want people to travel Julia's way," and then it just like we all just kind of took a breath, and like. I was like, that's not too bossy. And they were like, you are bossy, lean into it. And so it was really born from there. And somehow having that name, you know, just the logo, I knew exactly what I wanted for my logo. It took way too many iterations because like, you know, but I got it. It's much more warm. It's much more friendly, fun.
It just feels like it's like the wedding dress that's the one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Matheson Travel was a beautiful wedding dress.
Yes. But it
just wasn't the one for you.
Yeah. Because it's me. You're going to work with me because of me, not because of some great process or, you know, some corporate value. You know, it's me and I'm the brand. And, you know, from there, really it started, you know, I started doing video marketing and all of that and really leaning into helping people find the je ne sais quoi wherever they are in the world, which is my little tagline. And, you know, I mean, it works. I mean, people I've had
je ne sais quoi wherever they are in the world. I love that. It's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, clients give me je ne sais quoi items and people.
Oh, that's so fun.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And it works because then it shows you I'm a French specialist without really calling it that. But I specifically say that, you know, that you could be anywhere and find a je ne sais quoi, find like a sensibility.
Yeah.
So
that is awesome. And it's so fun to go back down memory lane and remember that was
a while now.
It was really definitely a turning point for you.
Yeah.
So the third focus that people
But I have to say, hold on.
Yes.
Is to your second point about being in that mid-tier, that 500,000 range.
Yeah.
I was stuck there for years. I had this great message. I had the logo and I was stuck there. And I was like, I think I need to tweak my message. And I will never forget it as long as I live. You go, your message is great. You just need to believe in yourself. I was like, and it's true. I still had like imposter syndrome kind of. And it wasn't until I really understood that I do know what I'm talking about and I am good at this job that it all started happening.
You had to lean into your whole messaging, really. Yes. The third thing that people fail to focus on is how to scale for growth. Mm-hmm. And the simplest way to scale for growth, well, it's really two ways to do that. Mm-hmm. The first is by developing systems and procedures and processes. Mm-hmm. But the other one is you have to understand how to delegate. Mm-hmm. And when you don't delegate, you will stay stuck. Mm-hmm. You will get into this kind of like, and I remember the hiring journey for you was not the easiest journey. And you had all of the common objections of, no, I'm not ready to hire. I don't have the business to support that yet. I can't hire yet. Mm-hmm. And it is stressful because you are supporting yourself on your business. And it is very stressful to think about having that cash flow liability. It's also stressful to think about finding the right people and then training them. And so do you want to talk a little bit about how that has changed your business?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely wouldn't be where I am if I didn't have support, but I have had an interesting journey with support. I've kind of done all the mistakes, right? Like I hired a friend. I tried to do it right and interview them and make sure they had opposite skills to me. But guess what? they didn't. The reason we got along so well is because we were so similar. And, and so then that broke up. And, and finally 2 or 3 years ago, I found a really great gal who I actually had to let go because she wanted to go on her own. But it was the first time that I really felt like I had a partner in my business, and where, we would have a call once a week or whatever it was, where I'm like, what's going on with these clients? Okay, good. You've got that going, all right, this is the new client. And so can you take it and run with it from here? And, so finding that person that can complement you, and do the things that you don't want to do is so key. And I still feel like it's something I'm working on because I'm in transition again. One wasn't working out, so I've found a new one, and I'm working on getting her trained up. But I think she's going to be great because she doesn't have any desire to sell or to talk to clients, which is, that's my strength and that's
right.
my superpower. So, I handle the sales and sales, whatever, the talking to the clients, the trip design. And then once I get everything built, then, she handles the admin stuff and the, transmitting details back and forth of passport, numbers and frankly, helping keep me organized because I am super disorganized, ADHD brain, files everywhere. And she is much more organized. And so being able to find that person that complements me and can do those little, check off the test, make sure that the email sequence is set up and scheduled to go out at the right time. And all of that it is such a breath of fresh air and a weight off my shoulders. And, I definitely, and to be honest, I think I'm almost at the point now where I need more, I almost need another person because I'm feeling the stress of, my business growing. And I've always been like, oh, I don't need to grow. I don't need to grow, but it's growing whether I want it to or not at this point. And so, if the volume keeps increasing the way it feels like it is right now, it might be time for another person. So
one of the things I remember learning about hiring on my own journey was a coach telling me that when it's time to hire, you need to hire one of two types of people. You either need to hire a mini you or the opposite.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time for you. It sounds like you've got the opposite.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that next hire is a mini Julia.
Maybe it's a mini. Yeah. Because at some point you just can't handle the same trips that you used to be able to handle. I mean, I remember there was a time where I knew, as soon as I heard a client name, I knew what their kids' ages were. I knew their dates. I could almost get their dates perfectly right. And I knew now, when you have volume of any sort, I don't, and I actually, my business isn't built on volume. I try and keep my clients small with higher transaction sizes. That's been my focus for years. But even now there's too many, I can't keep track of it all. So that's why you have to have processes and someone to help.
So you alluded to something that I want to unpack. That's why this is called Travel Business Unpacked podcast. You said something earlier about you had imposter syndrome. And I also believe that when people underestimate the importance of cultivating a success mindset, they're going to stay stuck. And so let's talk about mindset.
Let's do. It's what nobody wants to talk about. And
I know, right? I can relate to the imposter syndrome. I can relate to the perfection paralysis. I can relate to the sense of feeling like, why would people want to book with me? So tell us, to you, what did imposter syndrome look like?
It was the fear of putting myself out there, fear of standing firm and saying, of course you would want to book with me. It was the fear of saying, okay, well, I charge a fee. Is that okay?
Well, especially since I'll just let other people in on your life. I mean, you live where you grew up, right? You're in the same town where you grew up, and you're very friendly with people that you've known a very long time. I have a feeling a lot of your clients are your mother's friends. And so there's
They're aging out a
almost
little
like,
bit, but yes.
so, so it's more than just saying that to someone who's like a complete stranger that could be a client of yours. You're
Mhm.
talking about people that might even be close family friends. And then it gets really awkward, right? And for some reason, that imposter syndrome flares its ugly head. It seems to be when it's more true acquaintances.
Yeah, it's when, if they're a total stranger, it doesn't have really. For me, did still come up because you don't know how this person knows you, and you're scared that, oh my God, you're going to scare them off or something like that. Um, but yeah, I mean, the people that you know and might see around, like you don't want to charge them something and then do a bad job, and then, oh my God, they're going to tell everyone, and
Mhm.
that kind of a thing. But I have to say that one of my mother's friends actually sat me down. It was like, now I have my checkbook and I'm going to write you a check because you helped me, and I'm going to write this much, and that's what you deserve, and you have to charge your value. I mean, she's basically my godmother. And I was like, I wasn't going to charge you because, but that really, she was like, no, you're providing a service, and this is a transaction, and this is business, and you have to, charge it. And I think that was later. I mean, I don't really feel like I had imposter syndrome at that point, but like
Right.
it was really lovely to see and hear that because it's true. And that's why I refer to it personally in my process and in my documents and stuff, that when you decide to hire me, this
Mhm.
is what happens, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And because I'm not doing you a favor. Like,
Yeah.
you're not doing me a favor, like this is a business transaction, and I'm
Right.
providing services just like your accountant or
Yeah.
a lawyer or anybody, in the service industry.
Which is why I believe the antidote to that imposter syndrome is basically what I told you. You have to know how to believe in yourself.
Hmm.
But how do you believe in yourself? How do you just go from one day not believing in yourself to the next day believing in yourself, right?
Yeah.
It's not something that happens overnight. It's something that you have to kind of cultivate that
Mhm.
success mindset.
Mhm.
And that's why I think building that effective sales funnel, which is that second focus that I
Mhm.
think a lot of people overlook, the word effective is is strategic in that term. And
Right.
the reason why it's strategic is because we believe our philosophy at GTN is you your brand should mirror your message, and
Mhm.
your message should be built around your brilliance.
Mhm.
And when you build your messaging around your brilliance, there's this magical shift that happens in your marketing, and you stop chasing clients. You stop coming from a get place, and you start coming from a give place
Mhm.
because you finally own your brilliance.
Mhm. And it took me a long time to get there. Like, it really
Yeah.
did. I think for me, the shift had started in 2019. I
Mhm.
had a really good year in 2019 or something, but really it was the pandemic,
Yeah.
because all of a sudden it was all gone, right? And there was nothing.
Yeah.
And I freaked out, got depressed, all the same things that everybody did,
Yep.
watching all this
Well,
business go
especially
away.
the travel advisor community. I mean, for those listening that are not travel advisors, I mean, this is an industry that got hit so hard by the pandemic.
Yeah.
And
I
it
had
was
like no value. Like, I realized I had no value,
no
which is
value,
not
no
true. But I mean,
income,
I
no
felt
cash flow. And not only that, but you were spending several weeks, maybe even several months, painstakingly unraveling itineraries you had painstakingly put together months before and were really excited about. And now you have to unravel these and try and protect your clients' travel dollars
uh,
and not get paid for it. You
yeah.
weren't getting
Well,
paid a dime for any of that.
and it was always like, well, maybe we can move it to this time, and it's going to get better, and don't cancel, or, don't cancel, reschedule or
Mhm.
postpone or whatever it was. And then you convince a client to do that, and then it kept going. And so you had to
Yeah.
do it again the next year. I mean, it
Yeah.
was a nightmare. But what I really did is I thought about my value,
Yeah.
And I leaned in, and that's what I started. So I always had done a newsletter, because I'm a good student. And people really liked my newsletter. So I kept my newsletter going, even though like the content was different and stuff. But I also started a weekly web show, where I just talked about what the latest was. I commiserated. I, shared news, but then shared like inspirational, new ideas and things like that. And I did both of those every week for, the whole pandemic. And lo and behold, by 2022, I had to quit doing those because I was so busy.
Yeah.
Because really in 2021, I had already started bouncing back business wise.
Yeah.
But by 2022, my business had tripled. And so
amazing.
Yeah. And so that's the whole mindset piece of, first of all, I let go of any goals, like I always say that the only reason I got to $1 million in sales is because I let go of the white knuckling. Like, how do I get to $1 million sales? I mean, I remember looking at numbers is another thing and looking at how far I was from $1 million. And I was like, how the heck do you do this? Like, I don't, yeah. And so I let go of that dream and I let go of like any expectation and was like just providing value and yes, giving instead of looking to get, and instead of hunting clients or trying to, come up with a group strategy, just organically talking to people.
Yeah.
And it just came, and that's so annoying to hear, but that's really what happened.
Yeah. Well, especially when you're in your before state, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you're sitting there saying, okay, if you did this, how can I do this? And that is so true. Like when you're in that before state, all you want to know is, wow, how did you do it? What steps? Just tell me the steps. I'll take those steps. I'll do it perfectly.
I'm a good student. I will do all the things. And I was doing all the things, but I was, just white knuckling and trying to control the how and fighting upstream. And until I let go of the oars and just let things flow.
Right.
And these are all mindset things that I learned from you guys.
Yes, it is. It's philosophy and conversations that we have on a daily basis. Mindset is cultivating a success mindset is, I'm a serial success mindset cultivator is what my LinkedIn profile says. And I say that because you're never done, right? It's just like physical fitness journey and emotional fitness journey is the same. Like if you stop exercising the muscle, it withers.
Yeah.
And so you got to keep
exercising. Well, it changes, right? Because now I am $1 million producer. Okay, great. What does that mean now and what's next? And, but yet, and how to not get triggered. I just got triggered hardcore by something a client said. I talked to the client today and they were like, I'm so sorry. My email last week was kind of terse. Like I've been really sick and I was in a really bad mood, but like it had triggered me really badly. And, so it's a constant thing to, remember things like it's, it's not you, it's them. Not,
reframing
all the
it. You got to reframe it. You got to let go. You got to, you can control your response, but you can't control what they say. And it's almost always not about you, almost always about them.
And take the emotion out. I mean, I could have flown off the handle and yelled at him and how dare you say that? And I would have lost one of my best clients. But instead I just focused on the, job and let that go. And he actually even brought it up in the call. I didn't bring it up. I was just going to let it go. But I had to phone a friend. I literally was like, you got to talk me off the ledge here. Because that's going to happen when you're, a solopreneur.
Yep.
I could have talked to my assistant about it, but, she's new, so we're not there yet. But, talking to a fellow advisor, a friend from GTN, where I'm like, oh, this just happened. And you talk through it. And that's one of my favorite things about GTN is the community and the friendships I've made, over these many years now. Yeah.
Which is a perfect parlay into my next question, which is
we didn't even plan that.
The other thing people underestimate the importance of is finding like your support system or trying to do it alone.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I mean, you're a solo entrepreneur. You, I think, still live by yourself. Well, you have Hugo,
Yes. He's right over there watching.
That's her dog, not Cass.
Yes. Not a child.
So, you have a lot of aspects of your life where you could feel very alone, but I don't get the sense you feel alone at all. So, what do you do to not do it alone? And how important has that been for you?
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, I have accountability buddies, both on an individual level and a group level. When we have our forum, and I put out a plea for help on the forum today because I have it's the situations we all run up against. Oh, I can't take this booking. Can someone take this booking? Or oof, I don't know how to deal with this sticky situation. How did you deal with it? And talk me off the ledge. I was super triggered. Those kinds of things. It's more than just who do
And
you
AI
use?
doesn't help that much on those
No,
things.
no, that does not help those. And so I have like a weekly standing call with a friend. We obviously don't do it every week because both of us travel all the time and this and
Mhm.
that. But we touch base, and sure, we're friends, and so we shoot, just chit chat, but we also try and say, okay, what's your goal for this week? What are you going to get accomplished this week? And I mean, we talk about actual business stuff and numbers and things like that. I mean, we just on the forum had the accountability letters, where it's such a great thing, and I know I did it either last year or the year before or both, where you write a letter to yourself, at the end of the
Wow.
year, I will have done this and I will have done that. And,
Ooh, I love that.
yeah, it's really good. And I feel great about having done this and having reached this goal, and,
Yep.
all of that visualization stuff, that we talk about. And then I also have a group chat of text chat, full of a group of advisors of us friends, from GTN that have gotten
Yep.
together, and we take a trip kind of once a year, um, sure, to learn about a destination, but more so to kind of mastermind and talk about
Love it.
where we want to go, what's been our wins in our business this year, what's been our struggles this year, and stuff like that. I mean, besides the fact that, there are calls
Yeah.
basically every day.
Yes.
If I ever needed support, that one of those friends wasn't around, there is a call for GTN that will help me 100%.
Yeah. No, that's true. I love that you've really created your own mini community within our bigger community. I think that's incredible. And it also illustrates your ability to build relationships. And I think that's probably one of your strengths. That is very, very cool. And it's not just like surface relationships.
Yeah,
It's
no.
very deep, very solid. It's almost like a family for you.
Mhm.
Which I
I mean,
love.
I
So
just got back from a trip with a GTN advisor that I met on a GTN trip,
I love
and
that.
I'm one of her best clients because I love the trip she does. So I keep going on.
So give me a peek into the life of Julia Matheson, a successful travel entrepreneur. So how often do you get to travel? Um, and like, do you really feel like you've built a a business and a life that you love around your passion for travel?
Absolutely. People can get a little annoyed with me because I'm really good at work-life balance.
I love that
I
about you. I never get annoyed about that.
this friend I was just with, I mean, she's amazed by me. There are definitely days, not in January, not in wave season, but there are definitely days where I only work a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
Like I go and I play my pickleball and I see my family and, go out to dinner with friends. And I travel. It ends up averaging somewhere around a week out of every month of the
Wow.
year.
Yeah.
Sometimes, like, I remember, I think it was 22 probably, I leaned a little too far, that way I was gone at, like, a third of the year, and I was like, "Well, that was maybe too much." So then I pulled back in 23, and then but last year I had a fantastic year and of travel and, went to 2 different Taylor Swift concerts in Europe, and, one of them was a gift from a supplier that I use all the time. One of them I had just planned because I wanted to do it myself, So I have a really nice mix of both education, like purely educational trips. Like I did a virtuoso study tour to Thailand because I hadn't been back to Southeast Asia since I
Yeah.
traveled before I started
Yeah.
my business, and fun trips, like I said, going to Taylor Swift with my friend and that trip, like I tacked, so we were together for a week and then I tacked on another week where I was seeing hotels that in
Yep.
West England that I needed to see. So I really like the mix of traveling that I have because and people are always like, well, is this trip fun or work? And I'm like, well, it's always both, which is a good thing and a bad thing. But there's always at least one trip that, yes, it's for work and I will blog about it and I will talk about it do my social media, market it and stuff like that. But I'm really just having fun. And I really kind of shut off the email, don't take new client inquiries for that 2-week period or whatever it is. And, really just try and enjoy the experience because, that's part of it. If we're not enjoying these experiences and talking to clients about how great this destination or that hotel or, elf yoga in Iceland is, they're not gonna.
Boca.
Elf yoga is the greatest thing ever. It's probably a longer story than we need to hear, but just suffice to say, if you have really fun guides and really great DMCs that put together wonderful experiences, you have memories that last a lifetime. And if I don't have those stories that I can spout off to clients, then that might lead to, like imposter syndrome. It just immediately gives me credibility that I've been there, I've done that, I know it. And so, it's, yeah, I don't know. So I really love that I travel a ton, but when I'm home, I'm working hard, but I'm also still enjoying, my day.
Yeah.
I'm not chained to this laptop from 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. Like,
I
no,
love that.
no. Yeah.
No. Yeah. And there are some people where that's what they want to do and that's okay. But
And I don't attract the clients that need
yes,
high maintenance.
love that.
I remember one of our wonderful, wonderful advisors was talking about ultra high net worth clients and sort of the dedication and to be on call that you need to have for them. And I was like, yeah, no, I don't. I mean, I want nice clients, but I mean, my best client never calls me. He never he's just like, I want the best suite at this hotel for these dates. This is what we're doing. And make sure I've got my transfers and give me some cool tours. We want to do this and that, blah, blah, blah. And then I never hear from him, and he loves it. He has a great time and he refers people to me. And it's the greatest thing ever.
Well, it's like every person's dream, every travel advisor's dream.
Yeah. But I mean, I don't, it comes from setting my boundaries and training my clients. I don't answer emails at 11 o'clock at night. I don't have my emails on my phone, which can be inconvenient when you're traveling a little bit, but I set that boundary. And, if you need me to answer you every 5 minutes, we're not the right fit. And so I've weeded out those kind of clients.
Go find someone else who is a better fit.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I don't send out spa and restaurant reservations 60 days in advance. If you want restaurant reservations, ask me and I'll see what we can do. But that's not, I still feel like I provide a concierge service, but in a very different way than some other friends of mine that I know of.
The value of your input is really in that opinion.
Mm-hmm.
You've got such an incredible filter and it's a true gift. And I think you didn't really value it that much at the beginning of your journey, but now you're really owning it.
I not even didn't value it, discounted it because I was like, I don't do anything special. I don't I'm nowhere, I'm nobody.
Yeah.
So I had to learn that and get over that.
So my guess is that coincided with your ability to lean into luxury too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Do you struggle with selling luxury at the beginning?
Yeah, of course. The whole don't sell from your own pocketbook. I still don't spend $2,000 or $3,000 a night for a hotel room. But
Yeah. Your
but if
clients
that's what
do.
the client wants, then great, go for it,
Yeah.
And I have started to set minimums. I used to help anybody, but now I'm like, listen, this trip is not where I'm going to provide value.
Yeah.
Like it's just not. Let me find someone who can help you, or give you some resources.
Yeah. Give you
I just
resources.
had to do that
Exactly.
with what I thought was going to be a great client. And once we got into the process, and I sent her quotes and things like that, she was like, "Oh, that's way too much of what we want to spend." And I just was like, "You know what? You're right. We're not the right client, or you're not the right client for me, and that's okay. Here
Yeah.
are my ideas that I'd already formulated for you for your trip. Here are
Yeah.
links to book all that stuff if you want, but I'll refund your parts of your fee and go forth and enjoy yourself." And everyone's happy. So,
Yeah. What would you say is the greatest mindset weed that you have plucked?
Meredith, there's so many. I mean, I think that,
That I
like
would say it's that.
that the clients will come. That
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about how and where they're going to come from and how you're going to get them. You
Mhm.
just have to believe
Yeah.
that your medicine is beneficial to other people. Your
Yeah.
brilliance will help other people. And I mean, that's really the fundamental thing. Like, if you don't believe that, if you don't believe that you're offering something of value, then you're going to be scrabbling and scrambling and trying to row upstream the whole time.
Yes.
Um,
Yes.
yeah, I don't know. I feel like that's the really big one
It is a
because,
big one,
yeah,
and it's common. It's very, very common, but it's been really amazing watching you, navigate through that and get over it and now see all this success. I just love it. It's so fun to watch you. Um, my favorite question to close with, um, I'm going to actually answer it for you.
okay.
So my question is, can you share with us one of your favorite pinch me, oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this moments in being a luxury travel advisor? But I am going to identify the specific pinch me, oh my God, I can't believe I get to do this moment, and have you talk about it, because this is just one of the many highlights of this lifestyle. And
Okay.
that is what you've already alluded to, the Taylor Swift trip. That was a gift from a fellow travel partner.
Yes, that was incredible. Um, yeah, I mean, it honestly, it is the best perk I've ever gotten, because I'm always careful to tell people, like, yeah, sure, we get perks sometimes, but like I pay for the vast majority
Oh,
of my
yeah.
travel, and like, sure, I might get a discounted rate at the
Yeah.
hotel. Like I got to stay at the Four Seasons for the first time last summer, and all that. But you know, anyway, but yeah, so I have a long history with this particular partner. My
You can
family
name the
traveled.
partner. It's fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm a Tauck baby. My family traveled with Tauck tours growing up. I think I did my first one when I was 18, maybe.
Yeah.
And my mom, basically, I have to like convince her to travel with someone else. Um, 'Cause they do a really great job. They are the best. And I have clients that just call me and say, "We want this day and on this top tour, whatever." And so, and I've talked about how great they are, and I did their sort of certification program early on in their process, and have just
And you sell a
always
lot of them.
and I sell a good amount of them.
Yeah.
And so I was on the list that got an email one afternoon that said, "Are you ready for it?" And had all these little clues. And I was like, "What's happening? What is this email?" And sure enough, they had a charter that had been booked that fell through. And so the reservations team, whatever, talked to the sales team and said, "What do we want to do with it? Do we want to just sell this as a regular tour? What do we want to do?" And he luckily has a fanatical Taylor Swift fan daughter. And he said, "Well, wait a minute, these dates, we could probably get to Munich and do like an Eras tour and have it be like a reward for our top selling agents." And they did. And what I really love about it is actually, so I immediately RSVP'd. Like I just wrote in and I was like, "I don't know, give me a double. I'll figure out who I'm going to ask." Yes. And immediately asked my best friend who lives in Europe. So I was like, I think she can go, but I didn't think the dates worked for her. I mean, like, this is like in a panic in like 10 minutes. And so I emailed one of my best friends in our community in GTN, and who I know loves music and had gone to see Taylor. And I was like, would you want to go? And she immediately was like, obviously, yes, this is incredible. and then it all worked out for the best. My friend was like, oh my God, I can totally do that. Those dates totally work for me. And so I'd be
Oh
like,
gosh.
oh, travel advisor friend, like, I'm so sorry, but I have to take her. She was like, I get it. But I happened to have a dinner or whatever with Vanessa that next weekend and told her the story. And I was so excited about getting to go to see Taylor with Tauck. And, but I felt really bad because, this other person
Travel
had gotten
advisor
left
friends.
out.
Yeah.
And she happened to be meeting with him like 3 days later and relayed the story and how amazing it was. And he was like, well, I think we have a cabin. And so my friend got to come too.
Oh my
And she
God.
brought her best friend. So the two of
Oh my
us could
God.
go and do work stuff while the two best friends hung out and got along. And I mean, the four of us, we just had the best time. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And it's still just something I'm so like proud that I was involved with.
Yeah.
And it was wonderful. It was really,
Yeah.
really, really great.
And very smart on Tauck's part too.
Very.
I mean, those are loyal for life, right?
Yes.
Those
And
advisors are always going to sell Tauck.
absolutely. And I mean, already like several of them, quite a few of them sell like a ton of time. I mean, I was
Yeah.
like small potato there still, but the friend that came with me is now certified. Now she's bought in. She loves Tauck. My friend that I brought has already booked another Tauck trip. So yeah, it was great marketing on our part. It was an incredible experience.
Yeah.
It was.
I remember watching watching on Facebook, just, oh my gosh. It just looked so incredible. I mean,
And they, in true Tauck fashion, they did it so well.
On a river.
They rented like a hotel, not ballroom, like buffet luncheon room for us, so we could all get ready and change. They bussed us back and forth to the boat because the boat had sailed along, and so we had quite a long drive back in the middle of the night after our hotel. But it works perfectly, and it was. That was definitely a pinch me moment.
Well, that is a fantastic place to end this discussion because it's such a high note and it's just a little bit of a peek into the life of a luxury travel advisor. You too could be like Julia Matheson.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Julia, for giving us some time and letting us like a little bit of a view into the life of your life as a travel advisor. And this has been really, really good. Thank you so much.
I'm happy to share. It's
All
always
right.
fun to chat about.
It is.
Fabulous job of mine.
Exactly. All right. Well, until the next episode, everybody, thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Julia, for being on the podcast. Thanks for listening to the Travel Business Unpacked podcast, where we dive deep into the exciting world of travel entrepreneurship. If you're looking for more, we have some great resources for both aspiring travel entrepreneurs and existing travel advisors. Aspiring travel entrepreneurs, if you're thinking about turning your love for travel into a profitable business and enviable life, take our Travel Entrepreneurial Suitability Score quiz. It's fun and insightful. Just go to travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Find out if you're ready to professionalize your passion for travel. Current travel advisors, if you've been selling travel but haven't been able to grow your sales beyond $200,000 in a 12-month window of time, our quiz can help there too. Again, you can find that at travelmba.giftedtravelnetwork.com. Advisors looking for a change. If you're seeking an elevated hosting experience for the luxury travel advisor, check us out at giftedtravelnetwork.com. We'd love to chat with you. And with that, we wrap up today's journey. We hope we inspired you today, or at a minimum, put a smile on your face.